What is up, everybody? RandomRandomMan here, bringing you my review for 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, the plot basically follows a young woman named Michelle, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who ends up in a horrific car accident. However, she wakes up safe and sound in an underground cellar with a man named Howard, played by John Goodman, who claims to have saved her life because in the rest of the earth above them, humanity has been entirely wiped out. Together with another survivor named Emmett, played by John Gallagher Jr., the three must live underground as Michelle grows suspicious of what's really going on. In terms of the performances, the movie really only follows this trio of players throughout the entire movie, starting with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Right off the bat, I just have to say, this is probably the best performance I've ever seen her give. Not only do I think is she a highly underrated actress working in Hollywood today, but she delivers a leading lady character for all the great attributes that are associated with it for one very good reason. She is smart. This is not a character that is a damsel in distress. She has very good reason to not trust these two men she's with underground initially, and she is scrambling to find answers. John Gallagher Jr. I've enjoyed in Short Term 12 with Brie Larson from 2013, and I think he also does a fine job here as well. But I would consider him the weakest link between the entire trio. It's no fault of his performance. Gallagher does superbly, as does Winstead, but I think it's more so the writing that focuses more on Winstead and Goodman. And speaking of Goodman, oh wow. John Goodman, one of the best character actors working in Hollywood today, delivers such an unsettling performance in this movie. He is terrifying. I really didn't know whether to trust this guy at times or not, because just his mannerisms and just the way he flinches in certain ways throughout this movie just made me feel on edge, and he is phenomenal here. And I think this may be too early to say this right now, but I think his performance here is Oscar worthy. Crazy to say, given that we're not even 2 weeks over from the last Oscar ceremony happening, but I do genuinely believe that Goodman's performance is that great, as is the rest of the performances in this movie. The writing and direction of this movie is so well crafted along with the performances. This movie isn't technically a sequel to the original Cloverfield back from 2008, which I think is an okay movie. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, but it's a novelty to see all the gimmicks that are attributed with a found footage movie like that. But with this movie technically being a spiritual successor to that film, it works extremely well. One of the co-writers of this movie is Damien Chazelle, and for those of you who don't know who he is the writer and director of Whiplash, one of my absolute favorite movies of 2014. And I think along with the other two writers with this movie, the writing in this film is so clever in how it keeps itself under wraps. Same thing with the original Cloverfield, even though I don't find that movie too fondly in my eyes. The movies really have a great way of being very mysterious, and that helps along with the viral marketing campaign with these two Cloverfield films. But with the writing, with 10 Cloverfield Lane in particular, it makes you want to see what happens next. It is a very gripping thriller from the start, and you just want to see what goes down throughout the entire 1 hour and 45-minute running time, which runs really, really well by the end. The direction of this movie is also very focused. It could have easily been a real bore to see nothing but the cellar being filmed throughout the entire movie, but the movie uses its confined setting to its greatest advantages in setting up even more suspense. By the way, this movie is directed by Dan Trachtenberg, and bravo, sir. This is your directorial debut, and it is a just awesome way to start out your directing prowess. The movie's pacing runs at a speed that keeps you enthralled throughout the entirety of this film. Right from the get-go, the movie scared me. It scared me at times. I was genuinely frightened through some moments of this film. And that has to do, A, with the atmosphere that is set up, and B, with the excellent sound design that creates jump scares that are not cheap like in some crappy horror movies of recent memory, but they keep you in check to see how this movie does not play around. It will leave you just shocked at times. And it goes for the first 2 acts all the way to the 3rd act of the movie. Now, that's where many people are going to be divided with this film, as the final act of the movie will make some people feel cheapened out of what the rest of the movie has to offer. But personally for me, I loved where this movie went. I guess the only real issue I have with this film is that it has no reason to be called 10 Cloverfield Lane, as it just wants to associate itself with the Cloverfield name, as it's technically now a franchise even if both movies have nothing to do with one another. So in that way, the movie could have stood proudly on its own without any problem, as I definitely prefer this movie way more over the original Cloverfield. But it also creates a nice opportunity for this franchise in that it could be a Twilight Zone type of film franchise that has a different kind of movie for every new entry. Between this and Zootopia, which I saw and reviewed last week, those 2 are up for grabs as being my favorite movies of 2016 thus far. And what a year we're having in 2016 so far, as we are hopefully in for more treats like 10 Cloverfield Lane. I love this film. I highly recommend it. My final verdict for 10 Cloverfield Lane is 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of 10 Cloverfield Lane, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.